member of the Senate Armed Services and Commerce Committees, Marsha Blackburn. Senator, thanks for spending a few minutes with us on this Saturday. I want to start with something pretty concerning. Russia's deputy foreign minister says that convoys with foreign weapons being supplied to Ukraine, including those from the United States, will become, quote, legitimate targets for the Russian armed forces. Now, it's not clear exactly precisely what Russia means by that, if they plan to target the deliveries wherever they're coming in, near the border, across the border, or if this is kind of a warning that convoys in general could potentially be targeted as part of Russian propaganda, perhaps going after a convoy when it really has other things in it. Your thoughts on that latest from the Russian representatives?
What we know is that Vladimir Putin is very frustrated. He thought he was going to handle all of this in 2 or 3 days. He would go in, he would take Kyiv, he would be hailed a liberator because he thought the country was run by drug dealers, drug addicts, and thieves. So what he found out, the Ukrainian people are very proud people. They want their freedom. They like their government that they have, and they do not want Russian intervention. Now, what we also know is that his army is not well equipped. We have heard the stories of the condition of some of the equipment, the soldiers not knowing they were going to fight a war. We know that he is calling in mercenaries and soldiers for hire, the Wagner Group. He's getting recruits from Syria, from Southeast Asia, and he is trying to keep any kind of military or humanitarian aid out of the country. So it is not unexpected that he would say anything that is being done to help, he's going to fight against. And Molly, bear in mind, he's even said he considers sanctions to be an act of war.
Right. And that's part of this untangling what precisely the Russians mean when they say just about anything. When it comes to the subject of military aid there in Ukraine, there's been a lot of talk about America, what we should provide, what the U.S. Shouldn't provide, America's role in helping others to contribute. For instance, the fallout over the MiG-29 plane proposal regarding Poland. Where do you draw the line? You know, how far are you willing to go as far as what America provides and how?
Yes, and we do not need our troops on the ground in Ukraine, but what we do need to do is give them what they need to defend themselves. And Molly, I sent a letter over to the White House last fall saying, now is the time for economic sanctions. Keep the sanctions on Nord Stream 2. And by the way, sales of lethal aid, now's the time for this. It is also the time for a coordinated message so that our NATO partners know we are going to stand with Ukraine, and they should also. Bear in mind, this came so closely last fall. People were still reeling from the debacle in Afghanistan, and they were saying, are you going to back Ukraine? Are you going to back Taiwan if the Chinese go after Taiwan? And when you have a convoluted foreign policy that does not seem to be consistent, is full of inconsistencies, it causes our allies to wonder if they are really our ally and if we will be there for them. So the sanctions, the aid, the message should have been put in place last fall. This administration said, no, we're going to wait until Russia actually does something, and then we'll make a call. And of course, what we're seeing is that it's too little, too late, but I'm glad to see that this administration is finally stepping up to the plate. But get Ukraine what they need. Get the MiGs in there. Make certain that they can defend themselves.
Shifting just quickly, I want to talk a little bit about gas prices because we've seen things go up quite a bit from a year ago. We have a quick picture of just how much. $2.84 a year ago, now today $4.32 the national average. When it comes to these rising costs, inflation, gas prices, the Biden administration, Biden himself, has blamed the global pandemic. And more specifically, when it comes to gas, he's called this Putin's price hike. Do you see those efforts on the part of the administration on President Biden as a deflection?
I can tell you this, Tennesseans are not believing it because they can pull up any chart, any graph, and see where gas prices were during the Obama-Biden administration, where they were during the Trump years, and where they are now. Molly, they know that when they go fill up their car, that they are paying nearly twice what they were paying a year ago. Yesterday, I was up on the plateau and up in Jackson County, Tennessee, and talking with the director of schools, and we were looking through where these gas bills per month to run school buses have gone, going from 2,500, 2,800, 3,300, and moving on up into over $4,000, $5,000. This is what our counties and our governments and our school systems are up against. It's what families are up against as they're trying to make trips and run the car. When you're talking about near $5 a gallon gas and paying so much more to fill up the truck or the van or the car, this gets to be unaffordable.
Senator Blackburn, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciated talking about those kitchen table issues as well. Griff?
Absolutely.